A guide to working your first 100 countries. DXCC is easy. And you pretty much know about me, except my amateur career started in 1959. I was 12 years old, and my neighbor down the street was interfering in Channel 2 while I was trying to watch Gunsmoke Saturday night. W6 NQ6. So I would run down 2 doors away or 3 doors away, and I got hooked on listening to him work DX on 10-meter AM. I later became a general at WA6IYK, and then while I was still in the service, I decided to start chasing DX and became an advanced class to gain some extra frequency, and then later an extra class to gain that 25 kilohertz, which is good for chasing DX. As you already heard, I enjoy contesting and chasing DX. I enjoy operating QRP rigs and portable SOTA and started doing POTA. I have DXCC mixed mode. I have 326 worked, and I have DXCC on RIDI also. Let me see, I can't. Okay, so here's what I'm going to cover today, and try to get all of these. So what is a DXer? How to chase DX, logging programs for working DX, how to find DX, contesting for chasing DX, DX bulletins, using Logbook of the World, QSL cards, club log, and propagation. So DXCC, 100 countries. What is it exactly? Well, according to the ARRL, the basic rule is simple and direct. Each discrete geographical or political entity is considered to be a country. This rule has stood the test of time from the original list published in 1937. So for more than 80 years, the DXCC list has been the standard for DXers around the world. And it's based on Clinton B. DeSoto's W1CBD landmark 1935 QST article, How to Count Countries Worked, a New DX Scoring System. So, well, this is Alan, AA6EW's wonderful antenna system I helped put together. And I'm showing you this because you don't need a large antenna to work DX. You do not need high power. And if you're a new amateur with amateur HF privileges and a 100-watt HF rig with simple antennas, then you too can start collecting countries towards that magical number of 100 confirmed. Mode use, single sideband, CW, and FT8, or digital modes RIDI. I like to cover, which everybody should be aware of, the DX Code of Conduct. And it's a list of 13 codes and rules that everyone should read at least once a month and follow. And pretty much when you're chasing DX, you should listen, and then listen again before calling. And then, very importantly, you should only call if you can copy the DX station properly. Always use your full call sign. And when a DX operator calls you, he knows your call sign. You don't have to repeat it. I mention this because a number of new hams, of which none of you are, but I will hear they get so excited that when the station calls them, even though their call sign is correct, they'll give their call sign again. And for some DXers and some DXpeditions, that sort of slows down the flow of those making contacts. I will respect my fellow hams and conduct myself so as to earn their respect. Good codes. It was very well written. So basically, you want to listen again, and listen before you start calling a CQ, calling a DX contester. Let's see if this works. Did everybody get the audio? Yes, no?
Negative.
Negative, no audio. Okay. Well, what I'm going to have people do, I won't let you do it, but I'm going to have everybody say, well, let's do it on three. Everybody say he's listening up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. He's listening up.
Listening up.
Don't ever do that. And what I had there in Morse code, I'm mostly a CW operator. I do occasionally work sideband. That was a pile up on a DXpedition that we had recently, and there's always a policeman. That's a DX cop. You don't want to be one of those. There are plenty of well-qualified cops out there. And frequently, the CW cops or the sideband cops cause more QRM than the guy who is not split. And the reason we have the cops are you're not working split properly. You don't know how to use your radio. You have reverse split. So that's something we need to take care of. Now, I don't know why I'm not sharing my audio, but so there's different types of DX. Amateur radio operators living in foreign countries, travelers visiting in foreign countries, vacationers and folks on work assignments, expeditions, which are DXpeditions, groups of hams not on organized trips to activate a rare country. And usually the DXpeditions are on 24/7 for a week to 2 weeks of time. I think everybody here probably knows what a DXpedition is. We've been kind of blessed for the last 4 months. We've had lots of DXpeditions every week. So how to find DX stations that you want to work? Well, there's the ARRL DX Bulletin, the weekly DX, and daily DX, which is a subscription service that you pay for. There's the 425 DX News, DX Spotting Networks, the OPDX Bulletin, Ohio, Packet Clusters, and Internet, and Club Log. Let me get more of you guys in the view here. Okay. So some of the resources I mentioned, dxworld.net, they'll pop up in Facebook sometimes. The DX Summit, Radio Arcala, the 425 DX News, the daily DX, and the weekly, and there's a weekly DX. These come into your email mailbox, and it has up-to-date news. Here's a sample of the ARRL DX News. That's a free subscription. They send it out to you. That once a week you get that. And it has lots of information. Now, do you see my cursor here or my?
We do not.
Oh, how about
Yes,
here?
we do. Yes, we do.
Here we go. It gives you people that are going to be on the air in the next week or 2 weeks. There's another copy that came out February 6th. Okay. And Senegal, Bahamas, Antarctica. And here's what the 425 DX News looks like. Same idea as the weekly ARRL. In fact, weekly ARRL bulletin gets their information from this one also. DX spots. You can punch in a certain call sign if you're looking for it. For Sierra Leone, Sierra Leone and boy, what happened here? Oh, here we go. Okay. And the VE7CC is a spot reflector. I use that on occasion, and that lists DX. That's all the DX, all the bands. And if you punch in and set it up with your latitude and longitude, it will tell you where to point your antenna if you have a pointable antenna, a Yagi or beam, hex beam. And it tells you where the DX was spotted at, what state. I set this up just to show, for me, the West Coast only, because sometimes I might not hear DX that's being reported on the East Coast. DX Lab Suite has within the suite of programs called Spot Collector, which will also show the spots from different telnets. And you put in where you want to hear it, and you give it a location where you want to hear it from. So this happens to be, I'm copying Northeast and the West and the Midwest. And this particular day, China, BY, was coming in on the West Coast, and it was on 15 meters. And the time was 0105, which is about right. If you're going to work DX, you need to log DX. And there's a lot of logging programs out there, and you need to keep track of who you work, where you work them, countries confirmed, needed countries, and you want to be able to upload to Logbook of the World. You want to be able to upload to Club Log, and you want to be able to print QSL labels or cards. There's a number of programs that will do that for you. And very important, import and export ADIF files. I'm a PC-based operator. I realize there's lots of Macintosh people, so I don't know what works on a Macintosh. Popular logging programs are N3FJP, suite of programs, DX for Win, DX Lab Suite, Ham Radio Deluxe, Logger 32, DXlog.net. I recommend DX Lab Suite. DX Lab Suite is not only a logging program, which is called DX Keeper, it also has DX View, Spot Collector, Commander. It's a suite of programs where you can use one or all of them. Commander is a wonderful program within the suite that controls your radio. So if you are running a spot collector and you see a spot you want, if you use your mouse and tap on it, your radio will automatically go to that spot. If the operator is operating split, your radio will go to split mode. So it's very handy. Highly recommended. And there's wonderful help on the groups IO and on the web. So within this one program, DX Lab, you can have your spots, you can have propagation, you can have your logging. It's a wonderful program. This is a sample of DX logging. within the lab suite program. It records and manages the QSO's Trex progress towards DXCC, prints QSO cards and labels, and will automatically upload to Logbook of the World. I'm guessing everyone here is probably, if you're going to chase DX, if you want to apply for DXCC, you're already members of Logbook of the World. This is like one screenshot of the DX Keeper logging program for within the DX Lab suite. And these are stations I worked on February 16th, for instance. Here's the Marshall Islands, 17 meter CW. And it automatically sent to Logbook of the World, and it gives you the date. It's sent to Club Log, and it gave me the date. And one nice thing about this program, you can upload from Logbook of the World, and it'll match up, and it will confirm whether you have it or not within Club Log, Logbook of the World. Let's see. So Logbook of the World, it's an online confirmation for your QSOs. It can be used for DXCC credit. You can apply for awards online, and it definitely saves the cost of sending out cards. And many contest stations submit logs after the contest. My second DXCC in RIDI was all done on Logbook of the World. Wonderful thing. And here's a screenshot from Logbook of the World, the confirmations in country order. And it shows you work mix mode, phone, CW. Great resource. So, awards. 100 countries for DXCC. Modes, single sideband CW includes RIDI. 160 through 2 meters. Endorsements. After 100, you have 150, 200. Well, let's talk about operating a bit, because the DX has to be worked. You have to find them, and you have to operate them, and you have to get your call sign in there. Nicotine, quinine, and X-ray. XLAX. What? Back in the 60s, my Omer W6NQX and all his old cronies, they used cute little phonetics when they were operating. He was nicotine, quinine, and XLAX. I was heavy young friend. Everybody had a fancy call sign. And when you're operating DX, that doesn't work. Norway, Quebec X-ray. November Kilo 6 Alpha. You want to use standard phonetics, and you want to make it understood to everybody out there that might not have English as a first language. So let's, how do you call a DX station? And I think everybody here should know what split operating is. The DX is listening on one frequency, and he's listening on another frequency. So you need to know how to set up your radio to go in split mode. We're kind of lucky with our Yaesus, those here that still have them. We have 2 receivers, and what's, for me, imperative is listening to both receivers at the same time when they're operating split, so you can see what pileup that you're competing in. So you should be able to know how to put your radio in split mode. You should be able to know how to transmit up and listen down. And if the DX announces a new frequency, you should know how to get there first before everybody else. This is a screenshot of my radio, and I was operating split. He was transmitting, the DX was over here transmitting on 7007 and listening up 7011. Right here is a pileup. What I try to do, and that's a small pileup, I try to find a spot within his listening range of a location between pileups. So I'll change the span to maybe 10 kilohertz on CW. CW, they usually operate between 2 and 5 to 10 up. On single sideband, they're going to be operating between 10 and 20 up, depending on the operator. Now, for the FTA operators out there, you don't have to worry about split. You don't have to worry about finding an empty spot in a pileup. You don't have to worry about tuning around and finding the DX station or where he's listening. All you have to do is use your mouse and make the contact. It might take a while, but much easier, and you can make a lot of DX contacts in a weekend on FT8. Not during a contest, but certainly during a DXpedition. The only thing they might do differently is operate Fox and Hound mode, which is very easy to set up under settings and under advanced. So this was Marshall Islands. That was a very good DXpedition a few weeks ago, V73WW. Anybody out there work them? Okay. One of the nice things, if you are signed up on Club Log, they list all the DXpeditions, and there's something kind of new. If a DXpedition has internet access, they have something called live streaming, which means as soon as you are work, your call sign will pop up. You can also see the DX spots for that DX station right there. And here's my call sign that I work V73WW on FT8 on 15 meters. So it kind of gives you instant gratification, which is kind of nice. Another live view of TX7N Marquesas Islands. This also shows you the gray line. It shows you where the station is you're working and the stations in the US where he's working. So he was on 10 meters. And I worked him, oh, he was on 15 meters also right there. And I worked them on single sideband, 21275. And that was live streaming on Club Log. Every DX station that's going to be on a DXpedition station, they have a website and they have a presence before they leave. They announce where they're going. This was a recent one, VU4AX. And they give a list of the frequencies they're going to be on. So you kind of know in advance where they're going to be. But the secret to know in advance where they're going to be is to know when they're going to be there for you in your direction. So within the DX Lab suite of programs, there's a program called DX View. DX View, you punch in the call sign here, and it picks up the propagation information, your A index, your solar flux index, and it will tell you when a good time is to operate there. VU4AX was also on live view and live stream. And I never heard it for a week. Very hard to operate from. But using the propagation program, I saw that 10 meters looked like a possibility. And there you go. I got them on 10 meters. I got them after 7 o'clock at night, West Coast time, which was kind of cool. Thanks to our wonderful Yaesu radio, the APF filter, every filter known to mankind I was able to work him ESP, but he heard me and I got instant gratification, which was kind of cool. So propagation tools, you need to know when and where to look. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Well, what happened here? Oh. Wait a minute, okay, propagation tools, when and where to look. What bands to look for, where to look, when to look, planning ahead. So for most DX conditions, there will be an optimum time of the day for your area. For instance, I worked the VU4 on 10 meters. The South Pacific is late in the afternoon on 10 and 15 meters. Pretty much you have a feeling, and I can only speak for the West Coast. I know all of you guys in Georgia, you worked them first before I worked them. Maybe. And sometimes the DX will announce, though I haven't heard it lately, they'll announce, they'll call CQ West Coast or CQ North America. The last few DX expeditions, I didn't hear that. So I was competing with JAs and a lot of other stations. I'm not going to go too much into propagation, but you need to have a little bit of knowledge. You need to know when the best time is to listen for particular DX, what bands are best at what time. And there are, certain rules that I've been using, 40 meters, of course, 80 meters is at night. 20 meters, 15 meters is during the day. Easy enough. So the DX view will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, the latitude and longitude of the DX station, the short path and the long path. And if you're using the DX Keeper as a logger, it will bring up your log for that country and what you worked or confirmed in the past. So the Marquesas Islands, I have them confirmed on all these different bands here. And this is the propagation chart showing the best time of day and what band is optimum. So you can see, for Marquesas Islands, 10, 15 meters is going to be late in the afternoon here, 1900 to 2400. And here's another example of the propagation. 15 meters, 20 meters, when a good time to operate. There's many a times when I needed a station on 40 meters. I wanted them on 40. And it was someplace in Europe, I believe. It was late at night. It was very late at night. It was early in the morning. And lucky for me, and maybe most of you, I get up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom. So I think my second time, maybe 4 in the morning, I stayed up and went into the shack, turned on the radio, and I got them on 40 meters. And a half an hour later, I got them on 30 meters. So there's some advantages to getting up in the middle of the night a few times. And it was just like propagation said when they'd be on. So what I do is I printed out a good time to be on the air, and I gave it a try. Another example of a station, Sierra Leone 9L, and the best time to work them. Club Log also has a propagation program within their pages of information. I don't find this one as good as the other ones because it's kind of general. It's like North America. You can't put in your latitude and longitude. It goes by zone. Zone 3 is California, Nevada, Washington. So I didn't find it as detailed as the other ones. But basically, it shows how many QSOs were made during that time period for that particular station. More examples of the club log and the different propagation forecasting. And VOA Cap, Voice of America. This is now free, and they have a special area for ham radio. You put in the latitude and longitude. You put in the solar flux index and the A index, and maybe you'll find a proper time to operate. Now, the V73WW, I thought was a very good expedition with younger operators. And they also had a website that gave information about the team. It gave the frequencies they were going to use, although they didn't use them all the time as published. It gave information about the Marshall Islands. S9Z, every DXpedition is going to have a website. And it's going to have a band plan. So FT8, for instance, they're not going to operate on the standard FT8 frequencies. They're going to be up 14,092 or 14,088 rather than 14,074. So the DXCC under Club Log has a most wanted list. So this is kind of fun to look at and see, P5, of course, is number 1. BS7H, which Scarborough Reef, which in my opinion shouldn't be counted, which I have, as number 2, and on and on. So it lists all 340 countries. And TX7N, the Marquesas Island. In Club Log, you can verify your contact with their logging, and you can also, in some cases, pay for a QSL card or pay to have your contact confirmed on Logbook of the World. It's usually $5. And here's a band plan that TX7N used. And in Club Log, when you look up, you punch in your call sign here, you punch in your call sign, it will give you, for instance, what band modes you worked them on. I worked them on CW, I worked them on single sideband. Kind of handy. So You can go for spots, leaderboards. You can see in the country or the world who worked them the most. So we need to talk about DX contesting. And the reason we want to do that is it's a really good way to work a lot of DXCC countries in a short amount of time. And a lot of people are not big DXers or contesters, and that's fine. If you're going to work a contest, you really need a DX logging program for contesting. Some of the contests that are primarily DX contests are in October and November, the CQ Worldwide, the ARRL International DX Contest, which we just had in February and March. The CQ-WPX contest last weekend was single sideband. And in July is the IARU, which is only most contests are 48 hours, the big ones. The IARU in July is 24 hours, and it's phone and CW. It's kind of fun. And lots of DX stations are on. Just for an example, for the single sideband contest in March, I worked only 6 hours, and I made 71 countries. It's only DX countries were allowed to work in that. That's pretty good, 71 countries. I probably can expect maybe 30 or 40 of those to be confirmed in the logbook of the world. So it's possible if you want to work 20 hours in a weekend contest, you could get DXCC. And you might like contesting. It's not for everybody, but the only thing I recommend people to do is to send in their log no matter how many contacts they have. A lot of locations are activated during a contest that are not normally on the air all the time. You can be guaranteed you'll get all the Caribbean stations, South America, Central America, Hawaii, Alaska. I mean, you could have 30 to 40 stations very easily. If you're intimidated by the contesting and the rush of stations and the pileups, 1 or 2 days before the contest and then Sunday afternoon of the contest weekend, they're testing before and they're looking for more what I call fresh blood, fresh meat on Sunday afternoon. So it's very easy with low power to work 10, 20 countries on Sunday afternoon. Very easy. They want to work everyone for a point. And you should turn in your log no matter how many contacts you made as a courtesy. Now, I don't know if I mentioned DX logging, DX contesting programs. N1MM is what I use. N3FJP has one. N1MM is free. It's very good. Basically, you just want to be able to keep the score, be able to make an ADIF file or Cabrillo and a Cabrillo log file to send in your log. Like the DX ARRL sheet that comes out every week, there's something called the ARRL contest update, and that comes out every 2 weeks, and it gives you a list of all the upcoming contests. You can sign up for that on the ARRL website. Contest calendar on the web, contesting.com. You can look up 8-day, 5-week, 12-month, and you click on this, it will tell you the rules. It will tell you how you score, where you turn in your log. Very handy. Club log, as I mentioned, you can look at spots on club log. And you can see the comments people are making up one for a particular station, S9, Sayotami, S9Z. One thing you have to be sure of before you start calling a station, especially on sideband, is don't go by the call sign that you see on a spot. That might not be correct. There's lots of mistakes out there, either intentionally or by accident. I see more so on CW because people can't copy correctly. And if you call or if you write down that station that you see spotted, it might not be the right call sign. But here's a list of current expeditions that I took at that particular time. That was, I think, last October. QSL cards, QSL services. Everybody that's working DX should have in their incoming QSL bureau for your state or region, should have a envelope on file. Usually you can send them a certain amount of money and they'll provide the envelope. You can send them labels. And when they have QSLs for you, they'll send them to you. DX stations, I still get from Japan once in a while, SASC, international reply coupon or postage to send back a card. And then the ARRL has also an outgoing bureau, which is very handy to use. You sort your cards that want to go out, send them some money, a copy of that you're proof that you're a member, and they'll send the cards for you. Lots of reference books are still available on DXing. That's how I kind of learned how to chase DX, how to call, and the Complete DXer by Bob Lochner, I think probably is up to revision 3 by now, and ON4UNs for low band DXing. What I didn't mention, which is I think everybody probably knows this by now. If you're in a pileup and the station is calling CQ, listening up 5, there's going to be a lot of stations up 5 calling. If you hold back 1 or 3 seconds before you give your call, it's quite possible he'll copy the end of your call sign. So N4FN, Fox November, if he waits 5 seconds and then calls slowly, November 4, Fox November, the DX station might hear that Fox November, and he'll come back to you. One thing I did notice by changing from my WA6IYK to a short NK6A, in single sideband, I kind of like those longer letters because it hangs, there's more air hang time and he'll copy you, I noticed. So there was a trade-off for phone and CW going to a shorter call sign. So for summary, listen, don't operate, don't call, see what pattern the operator on the other end has and where he's listening and how he's moving his transmit frequency or his receive frequency around. Sign up with Logbook of the World and Club Log. Set up a logging program for both chasing DX and contesting. Remember and review the DX code of conduct. If there's a DX club in your area, not a bad idea to join. having a mentor for chasing DX is helpful if you're not familiar with it. Using your radio, how to operate split. Back in the day, before we had dual receivers with one VFO, like entry-level radios like the 7300, or I have an FTDX10 that doesn't have two receivers. You have to press a little button, TFT or some such, that gives you a chance to listen to the other VFO. But you can only hear one at a time. You can't hear the other station calling. Have postage and envelopes at the ARRL if you're going to start working DX for the incoming QSL Bureau.
Okay, thank you. What is this? Oh, that's take that.
And good luck and good DX if you're not a chaser already. It's lots of fun, and it's kind of exciting to work. When I worked VU4AX the other day, 10 meters, week. Very exciting to get through. Now, I said earlier in the first slide, you don't need high power. You don't need a big antenna. It helps a lot. I'm going to admit I have a high power and I have a big antenna. So that's it. Any questions?
I don't have a question, Don. You can be a unique call sign too, because I was traveling on a DX weekend in my car running mobile. And he heard the mobile on the back of my call sign in that break. And he said, everybody hold for the mobile.
That will work sometimes.
And the thing is, I got home and one of my buddies had been trying to contact him for an hour, and I got him on the first shot.
Yeah, I think that definitely works a lot of the times. It depends, if you're working casually DX, it's not a contest and there's a DX station on, he's got a small pileup going. I don't recommend if you're running QRP saying QRP. He knows your QRP, you're low power.
Yeah.
But working saying you're mobile or maritime mobile or something, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I was 100 watts into a bug catcher.
There you go. Good. And it means more. Oh. Let's see. I don't wait, how do I give you a second here?
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don, I wondered if you could comment when somebody is listening 5 to 10 up, what the best way to get that person is when they're using a range of frequencies, because
Okay.
sometimes it's a little hard to figure out where in that range they are.
Well,
And
it is and it isn't. Part of my preface on the show program was being able to listen. And what you need to do, I'm assuming you have an FTDX 101.
Yes.
Okay, you set it up in split mode and you put your span on, let's say 20, 15 to 20 kilohertz. And you start looking, he'll call a station and you're going to see a lot of blips there because everybody thinks they're, W6NQX. So you have to listen to the other receiver and tune around with your BVFO and see who is actually calling them back. So you have an idea. After you do that a few times, you're going to also see if he's moving up the band when he's calling stations. What I do, I don't like the tail end because these stations are not going to work the next station on the same frequency most of the time because everybody's going to find them like you just did and they're going to come back. I move up a little bit, 1 or 2 hertz, and call. Now there's
Okay.
there's two views on this. You can do that each time you find him and move up a little bit, or you can just camp out and keep calling and he'll find you eventually. Every operator is a little different. I'll be honest, it worked both ways for me. I moved up a couple and I got him. Some stations, I didn't see a pattern because they're using a spectrum display also. They know where the piles are. So, the DX game has changed in the last 10 years with spectrum displays. You can't be crafty like you used to be, at least I used to be. So now, sometimes I'll just camp out in a free spot and I'll wait till he finds me. You have a question, Bruce? No. Okay.
No, we got a scoop, but thanks a lot, Don. Really appreciate. Great presentation. We just
Thank
gotta
you.
jump out.
Okay.
Thank you.
So learn how to listen first and find the DX. Use the spectrum display in the second VFO to tune around and see if there's a pattern. And once you find that pattern, move up a little bit.
Thank you.
So do you have DXCC yet, Eric?
Me? No, I haven't pursued it. I guess I
Oh.
should. I need to get a logging program. I still have the old-fashioned pencil and paper
You
because it
definitely
doesn't
need
a logging program. I have
if you're-
used N1MM though.
If you're going to be serious about chasing DX, you need a DX logging program
Right.
so you can keep track. You know who you work. And one thing I didn't show you guys, I mean, this is kind of, I don't know if you can see this. I made a little matrix. If there's a DXpedition on, I'll write out the call sign there and I check off what band and mode I worked them on and keep it here so I don't repeat myself because maybe the next day I forget where I worked them before. So for me, it's easy. But yeah, look into DX Keeper for a free DX logging program, or N3FJP has a module that's inexpensive that keeps track of where you work. Sign up with, are you a member of all? So I guess you're probably not a logbook of the world.
Yeah, I had it once and then I guess I was supposed to reactivate it and I
Yeah,
didn't and
you're
I
gonna
lost
have
the
to
whole thing.
reactivate it. Yeah, it's a pain to get started and to keep it up, but it's a good way to have them keep track of who you work and get it
Yeah.
confirmed.
Eric, I've got DX Labs program. I've used it
Oh,
for almost
okay.
as long as Don, and I can help you somewhat. But it's a
Oh,
great
okay.
program.
Very good.
Yeah, it's hard to learn at first. There's so many modules, but there's lots of help out there. And if you just use the basic program, it's fine. What's nice, it interfaces with your radio. So you don't have to tune around. You see a DX on the spot, you click on it, and you're there. Is your radio hooked? What is your radio hooked up to the computer? I don't hear you. You're muted.
Eric, you still there?
Eric, you're
First-
muted.
Yeah, somehow I couldn't unmute there. Yeah, it is hooked up to my laptop and I think
okay.
I can interface it that way. So
Eric, if you were in Logbook of the World before and you let it go, you didn't lose anything. That record is still there and you just need to bring it up to date.
you're right. Yeah, I think I have to reapply with OQRS or whatever that thing is and
PQS.
EQSL or yeah. And I have to do that sometime when I have the time to slog through how to do that. So.
Brian could probably help you with that.
Oh, gee, thanks, Bob. Thanks for throwing me under the bus. I just renewed mine and it took me about 20 minutes to do. I've spoken to
Oh.
Eric about it numerous times. He is beyond repair. Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Okay.
I'm going to have to run again because I got to go outside and deal with some stuff going on in the house. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Well, Don, thank you. Anybody else have any questions before we let Don get on with his normal programming? Any other
No,
questions?
I got
Well,
nothing.
again, thank you, Don. That was very informative and probably converted some guys into DXers. So thank you.
I enjoy it. It's fun, and I what I didn't mention before, a lot of the stations, a number of the stations I worked in the past in a contest, it was to a country I was visiting, for instance, or going to visit, and I would contact them via email, and I actually met three of them in three different countries, and we had dinner or we met for a drink, and it's kind of fun. And my next trip is to EA6 to the Balearic Islands off the coast of Barcelona. And in the CQ contest, in the ARRL contest in March, I worked in EA6 and I noticed lives right near where I'm going to be staying on an island called Menorca. And I sent him an email and he came back to me like 15 minutes later. This was at night. And he gave me some ideas where to hike, and he's not gonna be available because he's a campground host during the summertime. But it was kind of cool meeting somebody like that. You know, we just had a 5.9 signal report and maybe the power level that he was running in my state, but we're good friends now. So kind of fun.
Well, thanks again, and thank you to your PR department for a great notice. And
Well, I'm going to have to probably bring him a muffin next week, huh?
I would think so, at the very least.
At the very least. Okay, 73s.
Thank you.